Hello, my most amazing artist. So today we're going to start a new project. And it's one of, I know I say this a lot, but it is one of my truly favorite projects we do in first grade. It's cherry blossom trees or Sakura trees. And cherry blossoms, I can put some pictures up, usually bloom in March and April. And there's these gorgeous trees that have white and pink and even almost dark red flowers. And they only last for just a little bit of time, and then the blossoms go away. And then, of course, we get cherries. And all over the world they do cherry blossom festivals. It really is really big in Japan. I know DC and Georgia have really big cherry blossom festivals. So I always, around this time of year, right before spring break, I like to pull out our cherry blossom trees and make it. It's a really fun project that you can do pretty quickly. We can usually do it in one class period depending on the class, and I know your class is pretty with it. So what you need is like a dark gray piece of construction paper. You don't want to use black because you wouldn't be able to see our tree trunk, but just a darker piece of construction paper. And if you don't have gray, I have some I could leave in the office for you. It's just a 9 by 12 piece of construction paper. If you can't find gray construction paper, you could use black, and we'll just change up the color for the trunk. I'd rather you not use white, so we really want the blossoms to pop, and I think that neutral, darker background is what really makes it work. Then you'll need a black crayon. Doesn't really matter if it's pointy or not pointy, you just need a black crayon. And you're going to need some paint. And again, I can leave this in the office for you too if you want to come and get a little packet of just a couple drops of paint. And you can use acrylic paint, tempera paint, whatever you have. You just need really 2 little dots of paint. That's all you need. You don't need a lot. So if you want to pick up little containers of red and white paint, I'm happy to leave that plus the gray in the office for you. Just let me know. I can get that supplies together. I just don't want to pour the paint too early because it will dry out. And that's it. If you can't find red paint, you can always use like a dark magenta, but I really want us to use the red and white to learn a little bit about tints and color mixing. So we're going to put the paint off to the side for a little bit. You're going to get your black crayon. You want your paper going vertical, so it's nice and tall. I know it's hard to see all of my paper because my camera angle is kind of interesting today there. So the bottom of my paper is like really right here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to kind of find the middle of our paper. So find about the middle. You know it's not over here and it's not over here. You want the middle from the top to bottom and from side to side. So right about here. And I want you to put a little dot there. Not a big one, just a little dot. And you might not be able to see that, but just a tiny dot. And that's going to give us, that's as tall as we want to make part of our tree. When we look at trees, and there's going to be some pictures on this assignment, and you really look at the branches when the leaves and flowers fall off, branches of trees really look like the letter Y. So if you know how to make the letter Y or even the letter V, you are all set and you can make really amazing trees. So the first thing I want us to do is from this dot, I want you to draw me a letter V. So I'm going to come straight up from the dot, go up here, and you decide how close together or how far apart your V is. And I'm going to make mine kind of wide. So I have a V, and it's coming from that dot. Now I'm going to turn this V into a Y. So I'm going to go from the middle of my V and go straight down to the end of my paper. So now I have a Y. And we put that dot there because I just want you to have a nice big tree because these are really nice, beautiful, majestic trees. All right, so now it looks like a Y. How are we going to make this more like a tree, Mrs. Cole? Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to start thickening this line. When you make something thicker, you kind of fatten it up. So I'm going to kind of start fattening this tree trunk because tree trunks are nice and sturdy. And once I get it kind of sturdy, I'm going to start bringing it out towards the bottom at like an upside down V. And I'm going to bring it up, and I just want to make that tree trunk a little bit thicker. You don't have to push so hard with your black crayon because we're not making a resist. So that's one side of my tree trunk. Okay. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to kind of make the tree trunk here. And kind of play around, like I don't know if I like how it goes really thin right there, so I'm going to make it a little thicker. And don't worry about up here yet. We're going to fix that too. So I'm just going to thicken up my tree trunk. Okay, I kind of like that. Yours can be bigger or smaller. I like how it kind of goes down, has a nice sturdy base. So now I need to thicken up these tree branches, my first 2 branches. So I'm just going to thicken those branches up. And they can get skinnier as they go to the top. or they can stay thick. We're gonna cover these, so these aren't super important. So now I just kind of thicken it up so it looks more like an empty tree, right? But trees have more than just 2 branches. So now what I want you to do is take this, one of your branches, and make another Y or a V. So I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna turn this into a letter Y by adding just a diagonal line. And I'm gonna thicken that up. Then I'm gonna come over here and make this a letter Y and thicken that up. Okay, so maybe I want to make a really long branch over here and make this a Y. I can do that. So you're just gonna start adding some diagonal lines and turning those lines into letter V's. And they can go straight out this way and kind of go down. I want some in the middle because we want to have branches that we can put our flowers on. And your branches can get bigger and taller. Just kind of play around with it. I think I need something over here, so I'm gonna have a branch come out this way. If you get too many branches, it's not that big of a deal. We're gonna cover it. Like, I didn't make the best V over there, but I'm okay with that. Sometimes that happens. I think I wanna make my branch a little taller here because I wanna make sure my tree is kind of round. Sometimes it's hard to get this part filled out, and that's okay. We can still cover that with flowers. Nobody's gonna know. All right, so once you kind of get your tree branches the way you like it, I don't like that one, I'm gonna make it like that. Just kind of make sure they all have some Y's. You know what? I'm going to make that a little go in the middle too. Yep. Okay. So little branches, big branches. You decide. It's your tree. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. So now it looks kind of like a spooky tree, but we're not doing Halloween. We want it to be really pretty for Cherry Blossom Festival. So you have your tree. You can kind of tap off or kind of smooth off your black crayon crumbs. So you're done with your crayon. Now you'll probably want a wet paper towel, a baby wipe, something to clean your fingers in between because you're going to use 1 or 2 fingers actually, and they're going to get a little dirty. And that's okay. But if we only get 2 fingers dirty, a little wipe or a wet paper towel will do just fine. So what we're going to do is 1 finger is going to be red paint and 1 finger is going to be white paint. I don't want to see all fingers in there. And there's always somebody in class that does all fingers and swirls it. But that's not what we want to do. What we're going to do is we're going to tap and just push with our fingers flowers. So I always like to start with the red finger, and I'm going to make it on my right finger. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to lightly tap. So I got a dot of, not glue, of paint on my finger. And now I'm just going to start pushing red flowers all over my tree. And I'm going to keep going until I cannot push any paint anymore. So it really cleans my finger for me. And I'm going to do a couple pushes of red. And it's okay if you have a big blob of paint. Just we want your fingerprints to show through. That's why I love this project, because I love your little fingerprints. And as a mom, I love seeing how my daughter's fingers grow as they get older. So I'm just kind of pushing some red. All right, I feel like I'm done with the red. So I can leave this finger dirty or I can clean it. Once it's clean, use another finger. So I'm using my left hand now. I'm gonna get some white. And I can put white right on top of my red. And when they mix, you'll get a tint. And a tint is when you add white to a color. And red and white make pink. Now you won't get super pink at first. I'm just kind of going over all my white, all my red with some white, and I'm kind of pushing. The more you push, the more it's going to mix. Some people really like it to be the red and white. I kind of like that too. But some people really want it to be really pink. And we're never going to get super pink. But what you can do is once you have some white on your finger, you're filling your tree, and I'm even putting some dots even where there aren't branches, because I kind of want my tree to be full and kind of round. Some people are fine with leaving it like that. Some people want to be mixed more. So I can, on my little palette, with one finger, I can kind of mix some paint together and get more of a pink, and then go back in and kind of tap over. So we're not swirling on our picture. we're just kind of tapping together. And I want to see the white and the red kind of play around together. It's not going to be super like Barbie pink or hot pink. It's just going to give you that subtle tint of color. And that's what I like. There's so many different varieties of cherry blossoms. So we're just kind of playing around. So once your one finger's kind of dirty, it makes it easier to get that pink color. And you just gotta fill in your branches the way you like it, not necessarily the way Mrs. Cole's doing it. Once you're happy and you think, oh, I have plenty of cherry blossoms, you can be done. Because maybe your cherry blossom tree is just blooming, or maybe it's just ending the blooms. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. I really like that. And I'm gonna clean my one little finger, and I'm done. So any paint you have on a little paper plate or whatever that you don't use, you can either make another one to give for make a card or a gift, or you can just carefully fold this up and throw this in the garbage. If you got anything on your table, clean it up so the people you live with don't get upset. And this is done. So let this dry a little bit, and then once it's dry, take a nice clear picture for me and show me your cherry blossom tree or your Sakura tree. Have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to see your tree. Goodbye, my most amazing artist.